Rosanna, if you can put maybe the next slide, please. I've got a small presentation that we're going to walk you through here about some of the work that has been done under the title From the Congo to Chicago. And then I'd like to open it up as we conclude our prepared remarks for dialogue. So if you just hold your questions until we're finished with the presentation, I would appreciate it. Young lady, could you give me a hand? Could you touch the advance button on the computer there for me? My help just stepped out for a second. So just want to advance, yes. All right, so the central question to be discussed is why do African people of African descent who are living here in America need to be concerned about Africa? This is a question that many people on the street look at and say, well, why should I be concerned about what's going on half a globe away? Well, I'm going to tell you why as we go through the presentation. If we can go to the next slide, please. If we look at the numbers, we have 45 million people of African descent right here in the U.S. right now. And I say African descent because people describe themselves differently. You know, they might have 90% African blood, but say they're not African. We probably all know some of those. We don't know why their mind is that way, but we do know. But they need to consider the origin of their blood and that DNA that flows within their blood. There's 200 million people throughout the diaspora, and 1.2 billion people of African descent on the continent of Africa. So that gives us about 1.45 billion people. So the numbers themselves tell us that here in the U.S., we make up, if we were an African country, we'd be probably the 7th largest African country if we were on the continent of Africa. Also, with respect to economics, we would be the #1 country in economics if we were on the continent. So we wield a considerable amount of power in terms of the population as well as the financial wealth, given numbers that we've heard many times, including our opening $1.3 trillion that we spend here in the United States ourselves. But that gives us about a 20% of the global population, which is about 7.5 billion globally. So from that perspective, we can wield a lot of power, and we can lend our hand in terms of helping our brothers and sisters, not only on the continent, but also through movement in terms of what the directions are. Garvey was very much in favor of holding Africa out as being the answer to all of our needs from the perspective of all of the wealth in terms of minerals and people there on the continent, and combined with what we have throughout the diaspora and of course here in the U.S. He traveled through the Caribbean, through South America, Panama, Costa Rica, as well as the U.S. and Europe, and he'd seen the condition of our people all over the globe. So he was well versed of what was happening and what we need to have, and that is more power, real power, and not just the first steps that we were able to take after it came about. With respect to what was happening on the continent at that time, there were only 2 independent African countries at that time, and that was Ethiopia and Liberia. So he was speaking in terms of African unity and unity throughout the diaspora at that time, in the early 1900s, 1920s. So some of the items that he brought into play would be African fundamentalism, and talked about why we should be working together in unity. Talked about our glorious history with respect to the original civilizations on the earth, in terms of creating the sciences, astronomy, etc., mathematics, and never having to be ashamed of being the first man here on the planet. With respect to what he said about our opposition, always saying that, you need to go it alone. You shouldn't be together with others other blacks on the planet. This was a key component of African fundamentalism, i.e. the fact that our enemies would have us divided. We've all heard the term united we stand, divided we fall. Well, we continued on that same track of being divided, and as a result, we don't have true sovereignty almost anywhere on the globe, from the perspective that others control our natural resources, others control whether or not our people eat or not, and as a result, we, again, feel very strongly, and Gary said this some time ago, that we must be unified. And we'll talk about some of the others that have echoed that sentiment as we go. We'll also talk about some of the slogans and mottos of the UNIA, race first. So beyond everything of being a good citizen of the universe, race first is mine. Also, one God, one aim, and one destiny. Africa for the African, those at home, those abroad. If I can go to the next slide, please. The Pan-African Federalist Movement. This was being established to establish a political universal Pan-African nation, the United African